mana nyamedi ni tumi nam akanifo bi so tse wasaje for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah anyone ekeka ho
atiefo ni ahwefo mama chede meba dwumadi so YemanGhana ade achien ni edikan ye de aseba asedam onyankopon na efe eto aso adi endwuma sane yedi ne da no enne yensam ye abien nsam tietia na mom asan so ye tenten ye ba behwe nsam abien a ehawo ye wo mem ha na nia edikan no ye rehwe Nubruni can also is the fight against Galamsey lost? Ama Kofi Boa's lamentation is worrying. Sir Oshe from a good year. Nipa bi amra ma won ho kwanse wontu na wotu na waye ne awopen. E bi sese so okona ye kwatia Galamsey no. Aje nsem ana se yada so yeridi nkunim wo so okono. Eya se mi so na wona obekere wadwene efe ne etoya so was asam no ho ne se yenwura a ohwe nsase kwai ne obade ne modi agya oyen no so no wakoka ho parliament se yensase ne bebe yensase ne bi wo ho a nipa bi Galamseyfo na akohye so ya aban nyumayefo a woye forest commission kura wontum nko ho na sasam ema yengati beng sankomo yi yebedi ne na wenwaso na tie yen ne yetuso ya bien wo ho yesi wo hwe aban adwuma a wo kan nyina no wo ka public servant wo ka civil servant na wo hwe won adwuma na nsem bi afi ase pupu wo ho nti yebisese a political civil service or a political public service under siege by politics. Nipa bi ato ahye so ya na se wo fa hudi adwuma na se wo ye da no eno no wo ye ya na se den na ekoso ye te clock sack wo so wo strike ye tie yirim ene ho ne ama so sa nkomo ni nyina eni hwe fa waso ene wani femme anopai na sa ansem a ye de agu apon so yi wo bete na wo bete no kronkron me twa me ho aba na meba mentua nkum asobo ya ye de dwumadi ne be hihye so fe se ne ye ne dan mamsima
Ready for something refreshing and great tasting for your kids' enjoyment?
Angel Cola.
For your graduation enjoyment?
Angel Cola.
Beach hangout?
Angel Cola.
For all your refreshing moments?
Angel Cola.
For your parties, get-togethers, events, and celebrations, enjoy a chilled bottle of Angel Cola. Radio Grandma, today is your day. Over to you.
Thank you. Enjoyment Cola.
Angel Cola.
The Enjoyment Cola. Enjoy all your moments and fun time with Angel Cola. This advert is FDA approved.
In this age, reliable and stable power supply is the bedrock of every development. However, a backup plan should always be for every business that wants to thrive to hit the ceiling. Peggett Engineering and Company Limited offers that plan. They are the importers of brand new original super silent Cummins and Perkins generators from the UK. Peggett is also the sole importer of comfy air conditions that comes with an inverter. At Peggett, we undertake installation and servicing of solar panels, generators, and air conditions with certified ECG installers. Here, everything is done in a professional way. Call now on 0244 599 124 or 0265 468 434. Peggett Engineering and Company Limited. Locators at YemanGhana, adjacent the Kumaruman Rural Bank or opposite the China Mall. Peggett Engineering and Company Limited. The entity you can trust.
Amen.
atiefo ne ahwefo braso say ye fi ye nkomo na ase ye dwumadi ofan ye dusi ye ngadu nkasa ho ye nsem abi ngagu opon so ye beka ho asem ye ba beka ho asem eno ne nkasa ho nia edikan say na medikan kire mo no is a fight against galamsey lost. Amakofibua's lamentation is worrying. Say na medikan kire mo no okuna ye kwatia galamsey no so eje ye nsem ana say nkunim bi wa nganim ye nwura na yo so yafo na ohwe kwai nsase ne niam so no ne nsem no wa bekan ahometo na ye bekan nyina bom na ye ngafi dwumadi na ase ne atoso ya bien ye rehwe public service and civil service wo ho a wo se wodi obi ko won aposu no nko head ho wo se ye wonye no omfi ho oni nimdia wo adwuma no rekọ no mu party mabun se wonye ni ntum afeedi be bikra wo se nwuma yefo aba nwuma yefo se wonye ni ntum sankomo no ye rehwe ne na mpanimfu a wore boa yen eye topic a edikanyi aka sansemu galamsey hu asem no obaako ne Professor George Ajay oye CEO awo facheme awo afimap na fe oye head of mining engineering UMAT prof wotemenka ma wache nia odiso ye Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe oye convener Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey doc wotemenka ma wache Elizabeth Alua Va oye environmental advocacy group member na wakasa wo obade nsase ne niam ode atwa ye ho ahia wakasa wo mu papa Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison oye senior lecturer medicinal chemistry and structural biology University of Ghana Ura Jerry nso wa ha Dr. Albert Kobina Mensah oye research scientist Center for Scientific and Industrial Research Soil Research Institute company fi topic ye dikanyi one year be pese mu na ebirimu be kasa na wo be kontam akoto dwumadin so wo baabi na wo wie nso ya mpanin aka no wo beto ya nkomo no so na fe ebi nso be join na ngadi second topic na ho nso asam na second topic no mpanimfu bi wo ha esanse ye nhyehyɛ ya wo se bibia ye di nipa regu ye flyer no so ya ye banum anasa banan eni nti won wo akiri ye be mama ehu na ye ntua nku ma so bua ma menko zoom no so na mene mpanimfu banu mfi ase mfi nkomo na ase wo ho na mefi ho a meba meko Madam Elizabeth Alua mefi ho a meba Dr. Kenashigbe you na fe yade atoa so Madam Elizabeth mema wache
yo yenia
bacho na hotreng
nyame adom ye hu ye na wonso
me jedi se Canada boko you mami misaw wo hwe se ne galamsey okwen muso mu de ne mo Dr. Ashigbe ene won ekeka ho galamsey makon wo ho pa mpanimfo e wo ha meka hena ne magya wo hena na nei ye gina so ekaniema na wodi gina so to aba ho won ato aba aban foforo aba ye nyosoafo oba behwe nsase kwai ene saa niema no so na asemodi aba beto parliament ne se ye wo kwai ye forest mako ahenu edio wotwe wotwe mekira 288 na emu 44 eduananan nipa bi ato ahye so ya aban nwumayefo mekira forest commission benefo kura ntume nkọ ho na mibisese so the fight against galamsey have we lost it okono afiensa na
yo medase mechia me nua no machia mo so ha no
okono afiensa na
me pacha wote menka
nkapa
medase mechia me nua no machia mo ha no it's a very familiar grounds because we've been tackling the same topic over and over me wa ayroshim shemu say enfi yensa because Ghana for ya family ya say every year because can't some of us we went all out during the elections especially say so we share micro say yes you river YemanGhana that one ya say no we share yenimu say on yenimu where that is coming from entino say mo per say bibi sesa mo sesa banwi na ya sesa no. Now the concern ye mu be ye start ye nyane say aban ba ye sisi ane ya omo ahye omo 3 months ase enioma nka emrenum no ye ka no. They knew they were the government in waiting. Sisi ane wo kan say o afi na ye say they should be ready on day one. That is what Trump is doing, for good or for bad. He went straight to the problem he was elected to fix. So you need that to say anka by now no. And me MP, the minister happens to be my MP. On adia galamse ayama yenya yawalambla no. In fact, menenu nyina na yalamantia bedune. And no, he is in the right position to do what Ghanaians have been expecting all these years. And he metie ne nsem no de koto ayi no. Mentie ne nyina na me yura ho pa because na ye nyina ye continue to lament and ye na fahi. But I was hopeful at the end of his speech, say nyoma mo pese mo ye. The pace is too slow for some of us. But I am there on some of the things he has done. Committee, any party say or say dear Yajiman Bedu me it gives me hope. Or say by the end of this month, this February is just a week away to end. Or more recommendations. We need action now. Things like enforcing our laws. We shouldn't beg for our laws to be enforced. And to know, I don't think we have lost it, but we need a pickup in the pace. Some of us are a little bit anxious, but I have a lot of hope that he's going to deliver. And the entire, Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Ministry of Environment, the Ghana's armed forces. This is now a security concern. So I have trust that they're going to deliver. My concern, and say President Kabibi said 1.7 million people are employed in the space, and it's going to be. Sadian, when you say those things, you are making us uncomfortable because 1.7 million people cannot poison 25 million out of the 30 something million people of Ghana, and that is what is happening now. And we are a bit shaking, but we know Ghanaians have done our part. And yeah, major mamini and so dibiasos. And that's it.
Can I be all? Doc, good morning.
Good morning.
Doc, what the Safety say at the same medal one name penny for Makosa. Doc, have we lost the fight against Galamsey?
Mesumi Mamuniachi, Elizabeth Aka. Me no say Elizabeth. Me a perpetual optimist. Say I believe say once a year one kwan yen to me nja say amanfo e 2 year edubone nti ye beja na sa ma o mekuyen trala sa nti me worry shem say okono we've not lost it yet. We've lost a lot of the battles but there are a lot of battles in them. We started winning some of the battles, then we started losing the battles. And corruption of you say idea in yapa one Kenya stakeholder engagement before Oba Abemo and setting up oral. Oba na energy in some say Immediately one said the committee be to I said then na energy immediately now the committee need to on almost started some we saw action taking place. Sa so na oba no SHS eduane ni ho one check or the 200 and something million was then to form at the schools no and some of the committees need to ho bibi na ohwe galamsey ya ekuyen. From the 7th of January up till a month for my share crown because he ain't counting into ye. Minister Nankasa Abba Parliament Akache and say, you're quite 9, we've lost it. Now, a minor 9 of territories within you, you've lost it to criminals. What crisis are you not in? Yeah, what your friend is saying, Abinda and Wahono, and NDC, MP, some more parliament, they were ready to take a private member's bill to parliament. Sambako repealing LI 2462. A ban is saying, and from the 7th of January up to the 22nd of February, NDC were mega majority in parliament. Yet nothing has been done about it. Wow, about saying that you want minister, Ashanti regional minister. Onobeka say, criminals, among for mudi boneno, omo 2 weeks. 2 weeks, among cost one di omo bone. Omo here, evidence, I bet to media prosecute omo yinfi and sana obedi wejuma. Inti, say there, Elizabeth Kayano. You worry, Bibi Basisa, but say they are normal economy. Unfortunately, it is too slow. Already, your friend is saying, me and me share committee, Emma Omoji Medumunsem. Minim say one of the members also Asia CS also Asia gold board conversations. It's our conversations, and also are positive. But the actions that have to be taken, the immediacy of the things that have to be done. Unim say, amount for kum, amount for say what dear no. We're not saying it. Unfortunately, a dear ma you're losing Okono in the past, was because the firefighters themselves had become the arsonists. And the chief firefighter, who was the president, decided that he was not going to do anything about it. Let me tell you why I say so. His Excellency, former president, Meneno Ewo program bisu Ewo Kufodia in those days. Now, Akonta mining is Semaba. The minister appointed out Akonta mining an illegality. Minerals Commission are confirming. Forestry Commission I report and no so that. Mibusan was our platform. So I'm a chairman or no special guest of honor. So Akonta mining is semi or anything. Ochina our platform. No so actually Ghana for him say Akonta mining is not involved in illegal mining as we speak. How do you do that? So because of that, a emboldened political class, Professor Fripon report the number of people that he had mentioned are involved in it. Nothing. So when it comes to investigation about the real people were touched. And His Excellency, the current president, or opposition, or can say or no crowd and oba. And Crofaya Chomo Omode Fiasiano, Obe you because Omono me and Qualacra boom. Na campaigns no betchom. Inti a band saying no waba. Akonta mining crano or Yahushi. Yahu around Crofaya, ya friend from Mone, Yabu Mudi. Ada Galam said there, Akonta mining, Yahushi. Now, says Mamma, very good 2 opportunities. The MP for our win. Nimpet ni ahimfu ankasa afresa ono eka galamse no. From some of the investigations young journalists be ayeno, they also hear a lot of things, pointing fingers at him. Ono se onka. So no se onka. The only way we can do it is to have an independent party investigate it. Into your trauma president, your trauma speaker of parliament, your trauma IGP. IGP ama police phobia fraying. But by this time, no, we should have had a decisive direction from His Excellency the President, ordering these investigations to go on. And he does it openly. Said you cannot get yourself involved in mining, and illegal mining, irresponsible mining. Oh yes, sir, it will send the right signals. So the NDC for constituency chairman, Elizabeth, constituency. One of the yes, one of the Agamus was saying almost say or trespassing a concession. Immediately you go onto somebody's concession, it means you are involved in an illegal mining. And no, we need the president to show say because Musi Pape or come a party or no main treating it is a counter mining. If the president does not decide say Galamsey should be solved, it will not be solved. And if the president decides that we should solve Galamsey in the Western region, 2 billion. If you give 2 billion that they should go and stop those people with the support of the Air Force and the Navy, they will be able to resolve it. It is a goal board, a committee who are finding the solution. Then you'll be able to resolve it. But unfortunately, the minister, from the things he's beginning to do, he needs to give some of us hope. Because they are young for Becano, you say, I grab the soa if you are not. Unfortunately, and he needs to be told in no uncertain terms. And nothing I can say, so we're losing 9 of forest reserves I am entrusted to you as the president. And no anything I can say state of emergency, we declare over our forest reserves and also over our water bodies. NDC war opposition, they supported this call. So how is it that up till now, but let me also state, again, siding with Elizabeth, the reason why some of us are still optimistic. Said 2 nights ago, Erastus Epost TBB said apparently military now call one of the places. To me, I could take you over the place. Excavators on Ometizi. Minister Nakacha said because Omenya low bed and transport excavators. No minister na give you order say almost stay or forest no more making sure say take you over excavators. No Mateso say President His Excellency John Mahama Swaka say more share excavators. No, and that is right. Because embedded in that excavator is the evidence of the kingpins. One and a cry excavators in the Ghana. One and a toy, one and a high, Sankophone in Yayewa. We then can bring them in because we share a Minerals and Mining Act now. There, if you supply those equipment in Omana, there are elements within there that we can hold you responsible for. But there are too many low-hanging fruits. This current government is not holding on to it. We know say in their time, between this time and mobile, one of the water treatment plants at Waterqua has been shut. Maybe because school was the best school in Ghana, St. Augustine's College, Cape Coast. And so Cape Coast issue. My co-host Cape Coast issue. A major problem. It's all of these things tells you the problems are compounding, and so you need to take action to stop the carnage. Who are patient? Na yadina bana or bleedia. Unko for doctors since Montana interest and said, Ube making sure so Ube stop it bleeding. Unfortunately, we are not seeing that happening. And I am wholly hoping. And the fact that we still have people like those you have put on your panel. We still have channels like Angel TV who will still take this and make them major topics. I have hope. The only thing is that the fervor that we started in August, if we give ourselves by March and nothing happens, we need to move the ante into that particular point again and make sure that we will save Ghana for ourselves. Because it is considered a grievous war crime. But what would be said about a people who decide, say, how would we be called? Stupid people, foolish people, idiots. That's what we have become as a country. And if we start hearing those things, 1.7 million involved in Galamsey, how many people have not died? How many people have not died? So His Excellency should not even go there. He should not even go there. If he tells us that he knows the 1.7 involved in that illegality, then he should be dealing with all of them and making sure. Does he know the number of people who have lost their cocoa lands? Currently, America say, Madame Fubi ne an old lady, his lands have completely been taken over and destroyed. The number of people that have lived on that land, that have benefited on that land, does the president know the number? When we are talking about those numbers, and we decide to put those numbers out, then we should also be putting out the numbers of people who are suffering. I get so upset when I start hearing that kind of communication. And when we do that, we then give them the fodder to continue doing the things that they're doing. Most of those 1.7 people, some of those 1.7 people are foreigners who have invaded our land and are destroying our land. How can the president be telling us that? Why is he not concerned about those of us who are also suffering, all of those things? As Elizabeth Kacha on the Chrome 4, they are not able to fish again. Is the president not concerned about that? Why is he not putting that number up? What is the basis of the 1.7? He is able to calculate the 1.7. How that is not able to calculate that 1.7 minus 30 something million? These are the people who are also suffering.
Mamenko, Professor Ajay. Prof. Ajay. Prof, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. Prof,
yeah.
Nkomana Efiase, it is Ankomoya before election. Prof, have we lost the fight against Galamsey? Okono, Eji and Selmana.
Yo, mini and Yedika, Mechia at Yefo, and Mechia, my co panelist, Ayeshia Muha. I discuss such an important topic. Send me mini a penny a kayan. You lose the war. You're losing some battles. Now, it's not how you best strategizing. Now you move ahead. Now finally, you to me, we need the war. As a country, need every country be our challenges. Now, you can small scale artisanal and small scale miner. I am a person we have to look at it dispassionately because Ghana, a mining country. In fact, gold mining and the Ghana too. Ghana a world map so. From more than 400 years ago into gold mining are a part of us. Now, by the end of the 80s, and you to legalize gold mine, artisanal and small scale mining. The PNDC law 218 near the Ayaba Bedru Mpempensu. Now, in fact, when we say small scale, artisanal and small scale mining, what must say you what must say you quiet any niema, but as for mine soon, yes, you two and a mumbi, I bet to me a at 2 near me. See, I make us say about 85% of artisanal small scale miners are unregistered and unregulated. So over here, just about 15% per annum, you to me take records on them. About one productivity, any one output, and their contribution to the economy. In Timika say about 15%, you register my mineral commission, any PMMC to me data freedom on. This portion they produce between 36 to 40% of Ghana's gold production. Into a subsector beer, you to me at 2 year, in fact. Ka a bit me aboa o man economy no make us say last data me pk June July 100 mid year no na etumi omotumi their revenue as small scale mining registered ones in the area Ghana they are more than 3 billion cedis, and I hope that's a sad trend in Ekoswa by December last year na etumi do almost 5 billion plus then to 6 sorry and yes it is so dollars. About another about $6 billion or so. But no but na many happen so Sanka say 1.7 e become yenyanani ade emumu no kurimuni President Mahama figure no kora no our form I think that more than about 2 million Ghanaians are directly involved. Our direct labor in small scale mining. But I can see the supply chain and so on. The way will be the supply chain and about 5 million Ghanaians are related to the Athena small scale mining sector. Entino, Kietumia to 2 year as Omaya. Kasa subsector no kebetumi aboyen. In fact, there be a mekan wahana missing can be essay. You to make food planting for food for job and all that. But you can see you to two your near me was small scale mania. A bit me fight rural poverty more than agriculture. But as I said, or main your money acting a year emra papa and yama pium. But at the back one I have many said, yet the license in the microphone pa. You follow up emomunye the correcting. Enti ama you tuning in album ese obia ye galamsey because sometimes we hear the operations of the registered ones and one crowd some register in the crowd. Won't mean major difference be because one money license now what the man who be saying say oh mining operation procedure or because establish mine see more. One more as mining or designing mining operation procedure. Ne wa register an environmental officer mpowing or environmental officer our senior adwuma na oye ni yi ana said the other mining companies kete yenye ne sa enti say as a country ki ye di mra no so a kasa set and them I always advocate for it say kebetumi aboyen but you ntimi tutu ni yema yi ni ntunu ha dwen because say make say then me ba ha make issue about ensuo a wo manage wo even land no so say ana amanfo nyina ekọ wo mo de mfidie sisinsuo so no kore wo mo de mfidie sisinsuo no mo sensu but ni owo land no so ono so sensu because ohoro agudie no ohoro moba no ewo asase no so ewo kwaye no mo ho na se when timi am manage ensuo ni yie na ensuo ni atini birabiara ensuo to a ekọ ensuo nkitiwo no na sen atene akọ enti yan ye wo forest ha western region eastern Ashanti ensu to bebre wo manage why sa wo munyina ensu ekọ imagine say Anglo Gold Ashanti ni go first wo mni tailings dama kan ye ade ye besi watakwa akra kentimi nyavi enti as a country no ana Ghana so nye omanya enko school in fact ye live an era generation mrante omudi bese 20 25 years they are the most educated people in this country yenya generation omako school ewe history to say sa mrante wo 2000 and the millennials and Gen Z's near omabay ayewo engineers mining engineers bebre ye environmentalists enti si ya tu ya boasi ni atutu ye nieme ye ni engage the communities because the communities are not empowered communities now yes munso nyina hawom ahemfo ehobia but they are not empowered enough to confront this thing but me green say problem we see be solve here enye military they are starting from Rollins time operation bia ba ni nyina anye yi because time 2018 wo mo ye operation na me fie wo bonsa ben ho obehu anapatutu tu na mnatini na ba begina lori kwan obi nim se asojafo ne ba no nyina gigina lori kwan because obi am tip of asojafo ba sojafo ne betwa mu wie ya no nyina gunwura mu ho enti military ne de we are putting a lot of stress on our army because internal militarization ene sana you put a lot of stress and it means so the relationship between the people and the army no enkoso enti no me feel say we should sit back and follow our laws because adiba kwan ya na eha me ne say nansi ya me ti talking be say aban etwa mi wa ma license bebre na dan wa ma license bebre na aban ma license ya say asempapa o because obi Ghana ni eka say obaje license it means that person is willing to abide by the laws of Ghana enti enka say obi ya abama ma license bebre ya semboni wa ma license bebre ba license no ye di license mbra no so ana because the first step in solving the problem is issuance of license because all the license ni man crofo ono wa committee no it be ono no mineral commission ase Enti no one mineral commissioners utimi kwa ne ncha ekwa inspect the operations. No on complier you revoke the license. Ebeka se bia DVL ebeka se driver for mama license ama driver mama drivers license be brinti de boni debi. Enti licensing no one of the first steps one of the key steps you betumi afa so de control people. Enti as a country so yentimi so register wo yie. Ohwe yekuro mu ha ye wo taxi drivers association ye wo GPRTU no ne ade unze sometimes the National Road Commission adwuma kora GPRTU ye den etumi support wom because won wo unions won wo groups enti me feel say animanima ye aben embo modern na yenja confrontation with the miners na yen engage wom na start and register wom woma womu ni sika omokoto womokoje concession no yen register mu nyina ne form unions or associations oba wasa ha no ma ye ebi betumi group wom wasa miners association buda oni concession kra yen register wom yen group wom ne no mo nkasa because education ana etumi sisa ni pewo yen tumi educate human being ke nyina egukwayem a yen hyentade education ana etumi sisa ni pa intimesre sa issue we no yen di politicizing ni kakra na yen look at it holistically say beya ibetim because mining the yentimi nja wo Ghana se meka say tama na ye utag ne unions say ban all forms of mining me gina he me ku African Institution of Mining Professionals and Practitioners ye sorry ti because ye feel say enye obiara na debating within the shore any group kakra na wo ye wonkrofobia womoye the correct and see it to me a document and another issues in say registered miners no which one more association of small scale miners is good but association is weak. You want to form no to me some proper chamber of small scale miners chamber able to me advise able to me advocate yet said abrofono to me form chamber of mines no kaya sa any talking and education. Of course, there will be some miscreants. Young people no ma ebeka say womun dimraso. Ebeba those people should be punished. But me feel say 1 2 young question excavator we mienu young invade this territory me tiate ha yes take the military operations. Sometimes Quran what they are many bakura they may end up even getting involved in the same operation and the illegal mining. Ain't you know
Prof, Dr. Mensa. Dr. Mensa, good morning. Good morning. I'm saying, Dr. Mensa. My memory studio, na membra, Doctor.
Good morning, Doctor.
Yeah, Dr. Mensa.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you mean?
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, Dr. Mensa.
Good morning, Professor.
Doctor, Galamsey fight, Asanga sorry says here. Have we lost it? Or we're about to lose it? Or,
good morning.
It's over. We can't do anything. Okono, yebetuma kwa na ngo. Efiensana, anase, and that's all.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yo, yatonga.
Thank you once again for inviting me onto your platform. I'm very much grateful, and my greetings to all listeners. So I will take my argument from where Dr. Ashibe stopped, and also where my sister Elizabeth Va was talking about. You know, Dr. Ashibe was of the view that we should stop that kind of communication, that sort of encourage proliferation of artisanal small-scale mining, because he thinks that when the facts are churned out, those facts will sort of proliferate and cause more devastation as a result of the artisanal small-scale mining. The point is this, Professor Asante, This is not the first time we are getting here. Now, offended, I'm a pedamich there. Menkuma me babedino. Onye baby uncle be out there. Me support environmental degradation associated with galamsey. But my point is that we should be able to discuss this issue. Separating it from emotions and separating it from what is called sentiment. So first of all, like Professor Ege said, it is not the first time that we have experienced this military intervention against artisanal small-scale mining. It started in the 1980s. Now, Professor, let me take you through the chronology of artisanal small-scale mining and military intervention over the years. Then we'll be able to situate the argument. Now, in 1980, the government set up what is called a police task force, and they seized the equipment of the military, the small-scale miners. They also actually arrested them. At the end of the day, they came back. Now, 1990, they also set up another police task force. They did the same thing. The miners came back. In 2006, there was Operation Fight Illegal Mining, which was sanctioned by the government and large-scale mining corporations. The miners were arrested. There were security forces brutalities, and miners destroyed equipment. The miners came back. Now, in 2013, there was Operation Flashing Out Artisanal Small-Scale Mining. They did the same human rights abuses. At the end of the day, the miners came back. Now, in 2017, there was Operation Vanguard. They came back. In 2021, there was Operation Halt. They came back. So, this one tells us that the approach we are using is not the way to go. Because every government that has come since 1980 had continuously involved the use of the military against the miners, and they still come back. Now, why do you continuously use a strategy that is not working?
Chi anasa fante, Pacho ma fante na obetumaka, memram, o de brofron fra kakra, ai, Pacho.
Me watch you. Now, there. Since 1980, they use them approach you as approach one year Juma. Up in now, you use the same strategy in 2025. Now, Professor Asante, now reforms now. What are my small-scale mines? I have categorized them into 6. Now, the first one is what is called regulatory instrument. What the law, embra, and the policy, what is the sector no? There's a second part, often national dialogue. Why you YemanGhana, why you Accra, I think so why you Watakwa. Then there's another one, which is alternative livelihood program. Then there's another one, which is community mining. And there's also what is called ban. And there's another one, which involved the use of the interministerial committee that was set up in 2017. Na ni nechi no still na ya kokoko na ebesi nechi. Metimpede ameno me academic. Etimimpede me pede me check mu in terms of research. Now so that we'll be able to appreciate the issue and fight it holistically. Why do the miners still come back? Now, one of the reasons that miners not come back is this. One is social. Another one economic. Another one institutional. Another one so something like technological. Now, my main camp institutional friend then what is called the social aspect, one. Now, in terms of the social aspect of it, the artisanal small scale mining do something they call digging for justice. Now, why do they dig for justice? They are of the opinion, say, mine one yen assassin. I bet you assassin I did your mind. Omide assassin yen dia but meanwhile be ebe fine omu bia no or your president na or then or shadow or the ma Ghana fu nyina. But the point is this: when you go to small scale mining communities, the large scale mines in our they are not employing the locals in the area because they think that the locals in the area they don't qualify to be picked by the large scale mines. Now, because of that, foreigners, people from other areas come to mine at the expense of the locals. So the locals also say that we are going to pick our classes, we are going to pick our pickaxes, and we are going to dig for justice because the land is for us. So that's one of the social aspects of it. Then the other aspect is what is called political. Now, political is this. Professor Asante, you cannot fight, you cannot benefit from something that you are fighting. You cannot benefit. Now, Professor Ama of University of Cape Coast said this, that you cannot benefit from something that you are fighting. Now, how come say we are fighting artisanal small-scale mining with military, with soldiers, but there are complicit who are politicians, there are complicit who are chiefs, and there are complicit who are high rank of officials in government. So in this case, then it's more or less like cosmetics, right? Because the thing is, you are fighting it, but you yourself go behind to sort of benefit from it. And this one was revealed in analysis tape, and it has also been confirmed in many of jurisdictions in the country. So that is political. Then there's another part which is the institutional. The best way to benefit from this sector is to move a lot of people from the informal sector and bring them to the formal sector, so that you'll be able to tax them and use the money for the development of the country. But the point is this: when we are able to allow a lot of the miners to get licenses, like my professor was saying, Professor Gay was saying, when they get a lot of licenses, then it means that their activities can be regulated, their activities can be supervised, then they will be able to do the right thing. But here is the case. Interviews that I've conducted with some small-scale miners tell us, say, it takes them long period of time before they'll be able to get licenses to be able to mine. Now, the process is this. Another thing is the process, or you're too bureaucratic and you're too cumbersome. Now, obi wa Pistia, obi wa Buase, obi wa Kumasi, obi wa Konongo. If you want to get license, you go to Confiti, maybe you wanna call Accra. Now, in this case, this incentive for people to register, and it takes them a lot of years before they'll be able to get license to what? Mine. In fact, papers have shown that it takes them not less than 2 years to be able to get license to mine. Apart from that, there are some side kicks, bribery, corruption associated with, registering of small-scale mines in the country. So here is the case. When it happens this way, then people will resort to the illegality. They will do what is wrong, because you have put in place measures that sort of disincentivize the people from getting license to mine. But Professor Asante, how about doing this way? Instead of putting the offices in Accra and getting people to go to Accra before they can get licenses, how about bringing the offices to the various centers where the small-scale mining is conducted? Let's say you want to apply for license from Takwa to operate a small-scale mine in Takwa. How about bringing the licenses regime and the people who are going to give the license right at the doorstep of their hotspot? So when we do this, then it means we are actually trying to encourage people to do what is right. Because Professor Asante, mind you that the artisanal small-scale mining is governed by law. It was governed by law by the PNDC law 218 during the economic recovery program in 1989. Now, that means that small-scale mine, when you read the law, it belongs to the people of Ghana. But here is the case that we don't even regard them. We are chasing them with the military. The point is this: there are several scientific papers and there are several reports by the World Bank that will tell you that the use of the military is wrong. The use of the military is not the way to go. And look, I can give you there's a paper that was done by one professor. For me, I'm an economic. I'm an academic. So most of the things that I say are sort of most of the things I say are academic. There were 51 empirical cases that were studied. 51 empirical cases that were studied. Now, out of these 51 empirical cases that were studied, between large-scale mines and small-scale mines, the mass between large-scale mines and small-scale mines, 51 empirical studies. Professor Asante, could you believe that it was found that, in summary, that artisanal small-scale mines decrease or actually limit poverty? It decreased poverty, while the large-scale mines deepen poverty.
Mensa, I'm so free not to ako. Nemum Dr. Mensa, menya professor, enti aya wo mi din na ye no doctor. NFA, say Dr. Kanashibe wanka na wo kan no ni position no niema bi no kan say nye no na wo kan na edusu ya me sure say Dr. Kanashibe kana Ashibe we taking note nti oba respondo. Yo, ma men co studio na mene Dr. Harrison. Dr. Harrison, okono yenga lusu ya na yen lusu ya. Is there any hope? Muna UTAG. Also, Dr. Harrison so ye UTAG secretary, Legon branch. Na wong na yebaba ko elections no won so bebua yen wo nipa ekuti agalamse hon wode won anu betum na Dr. Harrison wo hwe ne ekoya okono yenga lusu ya na yedaso wo mara.
Yo, medasi mi mfa nchia kese ma etiefo ne ahwefo nyina.
Bacha ma won so kakra man.
Me pacho yo. Mesi made nchia kese ma etiefo ne ahwefo a ewo YemanGhana nyina ne amanone. Me jedi se okono ye lose ye. Na am say comment na minister no make here no. I was say ya share in the political light, the reality. Almost say one analyze case ni ya me sure so obedien say bia you lose fight na say bisa me gidi pa say na politics and our person and he say ya de djumadi ahye wonsa we say we o person manfo no hu say men sama na ye ka before elections no enye se bi agro and na ye di demom issues no are very very pervasive the baka which I say emudo into me mom de no kwanya no kwanya me che said na o sika no me gidi say one na political, but the other side is may gidi say he probably also underestimated the scale of the problem. Say o ku bi e ti say o opposition said they will see who no you always have limited information. Into see na wabetena akunyam no afei and the scale of the issue no add on him. Among say there be ana ekeka kono enya dia was say ye di ho agro. Enti I will just urge everybody to remain calm. Nemom dia me pese me meka efo dia minuanum aka ni say obi anim say small scale mining employ nipa nemom there are two types of small scale mining. Omo a no legally and omo a no illegally. Na illegal mining no and ho asem na the bia ye koso ekan. So Dr. Shigbe ekan no. Ye wo short, medium and long term strategies in fighting this. Sabi wo hwe ensuo ne kwaya nkrofo e sen na wontina ho enka say enipa 1.7 million as hwane na have been employed in the engine main swansa no there be obi nka say ma nkrofo nya mining you tag the bia ye can people misquotas near that obi nka say ma obi nya mining nemom ewe ye kwaye ni nsuo mu de no go areas na sabi obi eko nsuo so obi ko kwaye mu a those people are committing atrocities even eba entokwa mu a obi refer war crimes say nipa no sabi yam krokro no eho na was asrafo etu anamon immediately ye koyi sankrofo ina efirodom because they pose imminent danger to the citizens. Forestry Commission sabi omunkuta tuo ni asekan a omode koko santokware me giri say right from the beginning ye can say yanhwe ne yensi sa galamsey illegal mining ho ase a ebedi babi no tuo ni asekan a enkrofo yi ebenya no ebeya din pa say asrafo mpo betumi no mo asieni entino me giri say the na me say kan e just confirmation say we're all complicit somehow and no na ama omo enya agentini, let me say, to the extent that say 9 out of 44 reserve forest no omo timi take over no, but enu ntira wo asrafo no me jedi say ye wo pe say ye solve sa galamsey issues ya ye be solve it. Me I keep saying say the political will is what has been missing in all these fights. Enu ti omanpani me srewa sabi yo am robbers a e Ghana no almost do so pa tiste am robbers no sabi nye obi na oye robbery a odikodi enkwasa say ye ka employment a obi ka say am robbers is a form of employment yentumi mfa no nye argument so obi here dey say illegal sabi which one will you prioritize to rescue or to save the rest of Ghana or to just to save 1 point here? And I think that people misunderstand the president when he says that. I've heard him argue in that light a few times. Now, me GD say that is not to say we shouldn't fight illegal mining. Now, no, CEO for acting CEO for Environmental Protection, the EPA. I'm so name and crop for echo some inspection, echo nsuo kofa nsuo bi ekwa ehwemu, and the communication from there. And they say field officers now what various places no one sorry waka now one enforcing the laws as they are. Inti mi mo de mi wa rehwem say said da ye ka no maybe the scale of the problem no we may have underestimated it. Inti no so we minister na say na wusi hu anyoma sesia na woti akonyam no afede hu wo hwe say inti sana say na tie me jidi say in opposition no you don't have the full facts until once you are confronted with the fact, sometimes it can be daunting. It is not to say the person is not willing to fight it. We as UTAG yedieni to form yeshe na say the biade ekano say aban anya de was oya entesuko kwa ye teacher aban dada no ye beti sa enteso na akira aban no ye koso adi ne enkrofo ye mpensem yehwe so okono anya bia social policy be na wo de beto wono me gini say suggestions no adults in the committee ya put together no ya ntwa na form report emra, but in the meantime no aban ye ntimi ntina ho nya nhwe han mankrofo enye ye forest and the water bodies emboso sabi yese kokuram amfere na se to wuma so a wo so mfere faduro fam so into animani we ya no yema asrafo mbrem. You see the argument say ya use asujafo na in the past na no answer the problem no into say ya use na enye I don't think say it's right. Sabi na me kanu there are obia waje concession any obia or illegal mining. There are two separate people. Artisanal small scale miners no they are on different levels of types of concessions. Your forest reserves are see forest way and nam say home for swa or money in Nyan Mobian finance and ye ntwadua wom ye nya dwuma bia wom nti bibia be ma forest no ediplete no yes there be nti to be come na so okotu fangwa say nipa no oyo mambofo onipa be boom mra no so wo say because say oil employee nipa nti ye nya no I mean say yes asrafo no there be nti say obi di nkwa asem sabe why the police for So on my whole day, I put a police force. Yeah, they are for and a call flash them out. Indeed, the fact that the previous operation didn't work, and don't just say it will not work today. Now, I will say it every day. Sir, Nientia military interventions in this season, Anya say there was lack of political will. They were just playing politics. Osha Operation Halt, and some Yanichon Krata, some Asra for step, Munkoya, oh, Kwame Asah-Asante was Debbie, I had the Menqua. How are you supposed to do your job? Many, I said your phone penny for Akasa. They have given me the assurance, say, Yama Asra for free hand, say, young flash house, I'm saying for you, every water bodies, any reserve forest, now what trip. Now what trip, on bet me flash them out. Oh, when I'm not saying, they don't have the kind of skills the military and the navy have to be able to deal with these situations. And you know, Mejidi say, we are in imminent danger. In Suono say forests, no, you are destroying. Now we have to take immediate action to secure those areas. And Sana, we put in place the right mining measures. Bema said and go can yan register or more yama or more here licenses, no licenses. Nay making sure say EPA, any other agencies no and monitor more activities regularly and making sure say the omoyano ne kwanso no or more we tailing dam. You make sure they have the tailing dams, environmental officers, geophysicists, and geochemists say they are doing that thing the right way. And no medium to long term way. Now immediately no since one no na engineer say Shibeka say, Okota Kwasesiano, ya shut down plants, Oko Cape Coast, in Swini Hodom, any other places are suffering. We need to take immediate, decisive action. I'm paying when quadia, Mr. My young fat entry chance. So if we say the consequence is going to be dire. The Bia Mekase, told us who soon any now we become emotional about it because Kalano, and then, hey, into Swan and near if you say. Nemum I would draw a wound soon and no moment there was a higher drink canning. If we say the color of the water may be clear, but I would draw a woman one no more a bit proud, a bit cool. And you know, Yanshani eventually we will get to a point in Zuono a bit more recover, Kalano a bit more Nemum not a wood draw a wound soon is such say we can't use it for anything. Now, the was a tear says in Zonu and one the water your crops. In Zonu and one yanum. Now, so there be a mechano, a YemanGhana water company. Many purification systems are available for water purification. I would draw now a consumer ain't me in film. And you know, Yanjania and check Kokoram. I bet you say kidney problems. Bebre adrumuka bebre now we share your health systems now they are not robust enough to support large scale madness, large scale cancers na de sabi enu ya de kokram ne bo din no sabi we don't have to get to a crisis level nyasa sesi na no dialysis asemi abaye nsmp because the numbers are increasing now. Many of these cases can be traced directly to I would draw a one zoom and crofo use I would draw a conuanim and crofodi. Na say yan share na yan take immediate action. Na yan see no na or chinebino will be very sorry. And it's a bia because of one paying yourself. Say we should have short term, medium to long term solutions. Na immediate or short term solution being is nipa aji South Forest na boss na oman so for here and sasini so eco parliament we must take immediate steps to remove all those people from home. Then excavators and no solve problem here. Engineer said na engineer can excavator obi na kraba obi na kohan into a kwan fa so as excavator no koduru home I was itimi ehu na said na de bia man panic no omo a ya employ me so mon ko forest mu enkoye mine no. They are just at the tail end. Campaign is Nankasa Honum. And I believe we have to take immediate steps to try and find out all these people. Now bring them to justice because who are finance excavator purchase near that, then you are as guilty as the person who is also doing it.
Doc, mami misao, we a chemist na wo minimum say why ye nhwehwem bebre wo hwe ewudura ewo insum ene nnuan mu ene yen ne crops ye duadua no ho ne akoko no mu aburo no mu ne neama britia yi mu ya South ase no eden na ye betum aban betum aye na ngasi wa no if say bibia ni wudi nkomo wo kire say ewuduru bi awurawura yen aburo banche enam ene ho neama ene yensu no mu wo ye chemist ntimayen short term program bi aban betumi de aba animanimu ya na aboa yen
me na bidase any say sesia no selem na meka no enso bebre asai koko na ye de kwa manone no galamsey yi foi agency ase no what ye galamsey into one we have a shortfall in the cocoa production because as asana ye dua cocoa no bi won ma yaje e de ye galamsey na enkrofo de sha fan etinsuo so etu fango e de wuduru egu nsuo mu directly immediately there was say yi sa enkrofo in everyone no if you say na me kan sa ewuduru nya kogu nsuo mu wi a uyi a it nearly impossible it take a very long time into the was here immediately and they say your boy nsuo nyina ho ban and they say if we have to deploy military and navy on all our water bodies 24/7 I was here if you say ya nyena say a do certain critical level ye nyina yawu into problem na ye kan enye say bia in future it's immediate see no brony say your drones into you don't even need to be there physically to be able to monitor the water bodies from all the way from the north to the south. You bet me you should employ technology. You map out all these areas. But me the can say soldier for mpelifo me maka say nanu. Omo confidence say see a more free hand say this is the problem. Yan solve ya they will solve it.
Okay. Yamra a food production hono niema den ne betima yesi wano because aduan de ye di debiara na ehon e wudruko. Ye be ye den ne betima si wano briefly na ve men call Madam Vaho. Yo.
Say problem in your body a wusi ano ye. Na sans ni na no yentim fa nua enuan. De be ya say ene yen yi sans ni na ne fa nua. Bi say e betima aye rubber no ano sa no na say asase na ya so galamsey in the immediate way no wo di bia aduane bia awudo na wuku indiano no that I mean that's the danger that we face asase na ye dia galamsey na ma awudo na akomu no ye ntimi nua aduane bia wo so a ye dia be ye tadi say bia nua ene ye say rubber plantation e be ya na dia ye
di consider ben che say eno no asai consider wi ase awie
see ye di kan dua nua na tisa rubber na rubber no abetwe awuduro no bi into over time no e betumi adua enua na yedi e wo so na immediately there yentimi because ensuo na enua ne ba no atwe fi asase nim no awuduro no ekosa nsuo no mu ahoden a enua no ehia so odu banyini no ani na otwetwe efiri asase nim nti awuduro no mu a anu si na no atwe ka ho nde ukodua banche na obedua no awuduro no so be kwabanchi nim because was asasem nti no so banchi no wuntimi ni ade se bia wo de yes touch
na insua won aye ayi galamsey ni wo mu no sa nsu no ye betima no
dabi wonnom a enye ye me kire se Ghana water entimi kofa sa nsu no enka so me purify nti no ye menom enye possible because technology na ya available for large scale water purification etie ni krojin na mu awuduro no de e wo hoda nti no ena because into no untimi fa water vegetables kwa
na untimi ni emu nam nso
dabi en nam no omunum nsuo na awuduro no ekọ mu nti ko chidam na kwawe a awuduro na wo so wo jama ho no nti in the end no mercury na wo tuna no mu no wo tuna na wo so akota wo system no mu wo kidneys mercury a shedema wadwim mercury a ho ma vanadium ne chromium na ho no ma se wo hwa na kokoram yes in what do you begin to see in this when there's a high level of chromium, high levels of mercury, lead near that dinner, you begin to see adrebuka, boom say nipa na o kasa psychosis it begins to increase because you are accumulating these metals. Now, maybe they because the who woman say, sir, kakra, and now onum kakra na akota omu. Senya ko wura omu a untimi enyima bontin. Nti say sabe wadi ufo na wada just na the akano abese ko omu. Debi ewudro senya wura o system no mu a getting rid of it is nearly impossible. It takes a very long time. Into brony free bioaccumulation. Into onum kakra would the ko omu kakra no na build up. Eventually, it causes all kinds of problems.
Okay. Doctor Medase, yababa ho mamenko Madam Vaho na Mimisan. Madam, pacha wo so?
Me wa ha.
Se wo hu se na nkomo no kɔ no. Den ade na te se abenyi oye animu ya na problems na mu amowo sector ho mahu no ye be solve. What are the immediate steps at say abang teki na fe the long term your friend then solutions no and also kabitreng
yo medase eno na Dr. Harrison and Dr. Shigbaken my other two academics no many omonya adwen in a number of ways yanka say my nye mining na senya obi akan mining na ye no sisia no a good chunk of it no illegal means that omonya mining ni ye and it doesn't matter say what licenses or we need licenses so who say yensuo who say ye ndua ne who say ya sasia that is not mining na e was say ye jitum I will call we have a number of towns western region especially Omwaba abedia sase no ko ohia ato ho no you have no idea entino senya ye mining no sisia no emwa kra in terms of rural poverty it only just a passing thing within 6 months at most 1 year no more say bibia ko ejai pits ni bibia wo ho that is not what we should encourage kra entino in terms of what can we do immediately na ebetimi aye right away na yetimi aso tani ye kanu moje tu yen so no na afe de yen to adade enhwe ade a yebetimi aye in the longer run yeah the proposals me Ghana Environmental Advocacy Group 2021 and yeah the proposals e come a minister at the time I don't know what they did with it, but Messan so I did the same, at the MP, MP, so Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. And I'm hoping, say, obey who be. Yes, it's here right away, no. Amend and enforce the laws. That's immediate. Fortunately, no, President Akufo-Addo, former President Nabres, no, or amend the laws, no. And now token centers is a demand for foreigners or more. We just let them go, and God knows what happens to them. No, at least or more amend the laws. No, and a whole the end of the year enforce it for crying out loud. Enforce it because we go Cote d'Ivoire neighbors. Sometime last year April me call now what share womunsio. It just say we turn no if you hand mo call no if you more. Womusio nkase ya wo te say ye yanko braibi omode no ani ye krogen what has Cote d'Ivoire been able to do ye yentimi enye western region ya enye West Africa ya enye ye yankrofo akan ne bawule nzimani Apollo then the Hausa ne omode the same people and what has Cote d'Ivoire been able to do yenye it's the political will and yammo take out any can say emotional. You are watching your country degrade. You are watching your people poisoned. You can't but be emotional. It's human. And loss, if it means it's a young soldiers support to police no money jumana yenye. Anybody that you will find say or Jessica or you corrupt such that law enforcement and no. They should be dealt with very well. And we don't need any new laws. Yeah, enforce. Professor Harrison can say, we can do smart monitoring. Look, we spent money on drones. We have very smart young people. They are very good. Some kind of a monitoring unit. Ghana na saying very, very small country. When they took Canada and the US, we are a very small country in terms of land area. Until you monitor, and then you baby, something is going on, and we call in we have to put the structures in place and enforce our laws so that that gets taken care of, and that one is immediate. Say why issue new licenses? Doctors, Mensane, professor can not get say. Sisiana, within the past 8 years now, over 2,000 licenses now. Things should be better, but we don't see that. And to the proliferation of a license, everything on the ground shows that. We just issued the license. Me monitor and for more licenses. And we should put a kind of pause on it. Why create more wounds when you are bleeding? And how to new licenses be any recent ones now now. I've been saying within 1 week we issued over almost 200 no. And yes, I be any. No, I know na make sure say near a committee no ba they will advise the minister. Now all those licenses no young person no and because a lot of it from what we have gathered no just political payback for friends and whatever. To me, yes, sir, we can't let our country go like that. And and 3 to 18 months no. And what's a year strengthen and intensify continuous monitoring and law enforcement. And share livelihoods no. Obesity agriculture. Look, communities are say no. Before they had everything. Or more communities or who were crassier. I did a crowd were crossing. He just go right next to kitchen no. Whoa. A day. Cassava farm ha. Kokoya man ha. When you snails are you're good to go. Sisiano. Or some places no kwa in Siokro munye be nominaka aka no bani. They can't. They have to buy from the major markets just like the rest of the cities. Adentia. So this using these ones as a saying that mining is helping those communities. No, it's not on the ground. No, that's not the case. So mining no yanka say yenjai. We need to take time and restructure.
Your friend of mining the amount of license you bet to generate resources, you bet create employment. Do you support that view? Would you?
If it is done right, if it is properly enforced, Ghana, was survey department. Market the places are will gold in commercial quantities. Will go there just say ubetimia to anyam faso, ubetuni anyam faso. Sisi ano yenimo. And ya dibiama obiana obia to bebia anywhere. Trying acquire what do you call it? Try your luck. Into your tutu ano when ya bibia na wapaki. And the impact, for generations. Adentia. We have survey department. We have geologists. We have the people. Let's make use of them. Well, Ghana now was say, Timi study your minerals no here work in commercial quantities. Na yankasa as a country no. Obiba se obey him say gold no. Gold there will be in these quantities. And to Yamawa Betua, young country no. You were 50%. What's what will be 50%? Not just say, Sasika no yebenyano. Half of it takes care of the community, develops the community. Yep, uko yehon yawa Adamus. Adamus is big, they're taking so much from the people. Why? And the people are revolting and they are even supporting the NDC chairman in Zuma East, so that he he does. He takes some of that land for Galamsey because then they will all benefit. That is not it. And you know, it was a different kind of mindset. I understand, sir. There is the richest square mile on this earth, you know, happen to be some land area being Obuasi. What do we have to show? And we need to replan, and we need to see ourselves as owners of the resource and how we give Sanya Yedema and it's Sanya Yedia was a free mono. And no, it was a proper restructuring a year home baby. But answer no and yes, sir. Yama be a license, no be a put to baby, and yes, say baby. That I would not. I know the Miss Ramwa. Yeah, no, the academics, but some things are common sense.
Our president, officer, you know, yeah, this uncommon if I so say, I him for any the key stakeholders and what county a find solution. And also, why you need them on, yeah, some pa, a baboya.
And no one can, yeah. And no one can, yeah, or be to say, outside the argument, do I met so I'm sorry. People like that, no, they know one more idea was a year, and almost on what say, one more year be one more area. And the only person no, what Jenny input and I say, or can be beer. Yes, wouldn't say, oh, my advice, Bonnie. But Obeti say, Nana will be a war, maybe area, one will be mono. They you know, Abe Bosso. Who can almost say, Minerals Commission, you'll be about into your money day. So they are watching their communities destroyed. I don't know the advice now, such a person, baby mouth. But me why you also say, MP no, MP Amakofi Guano, he's that person now. Oh, to me, and Crawford back together. He is very humble and he said, Obeti me, I am magic or what ya, and Yanka, yeah, but Mecca said, Obia Oberman advice be from traditional setting. On share was it? She was sitting on to about said, Usha Obia Onkra, Quattro Quasi Oberman on to my anything. So watch the people. She nipano, she says, and then all year when you come. We have a chief, Jama. Chief, no, on Timimpon, sorry, until recently, Sisi and who ye kakran. But why we are tasso said, Nikrum what dear, oh, Mobia may yet, Galam say, such people know, yes, or my advisor, winning. Yes, so and my honey, your walk, King Kakwaka, or no, so we are tasso, sir. Such people know, yes, hear from them and let them help you. Now, Obia, why on one can say,
Forest and non so yebeden na yebe deal with the problem. Say crowd one kwatwa forest be we've lost 9 and 44 na day. Tell say one kwasha wo yebeden na yebe solve our problem. What solution yeden forest and yebeden yebe siwa.
Doctor, and on them say yam for so loss no. We have the best yawa military yawa Ghana no. Omuko bebia what so cry ko no omuko jina mu Jim Crawford ma obia bomb abaso. Sisi ano forest no de akoye wo. Also Crawford no criminals no ekute tio empese ye beko forest ni mu a. Na se yenso ye jai ma omo a. Are we giving up our catch say ye man ye jama omo na? No. Nti yen you see your military force no and chere wo say we have a country to protect. And answer ye wi a enya de a yentimi military no na ho forever. Ye and until ye were regional ministers, ye were district chief executives, ye were then day, I am for no. Obia, let's make them responsible for making sure say yen say bibi wo. Inti no wa mo ye bibia. This is say, what did this is so na say, or kotina wana ye senior na wo krona. I just said the political will is not there. And you know, we swoop in and clear them out. And then na ye ma or more, ye put you in charge, no. Clear KPIs, key performance indicators. Bibi say iba ha no mo. Na se wa mayan tia medi hu bibi na se jin semwa. You and your job and whatever you earned out of that process, no, you lose it. Ghana for ye hofo. And ti say ye hu say ye enforce loss na. Then no ebejai.
So eba ba ho. Ghana for any in any who for the Yabaho. Mamma Dr. Ashigbewo. Doc, Pacho also.
Pacho Mewaha.
Doc, one who colleagues actually near Mabibre in the short term solution bank and now war in the area of the forest, water bodies, and then the general problem are you facing short term. Never we are long term. Time against
Pacho, before I go to the long term, the short term, no, I think, sir, it's important when we say we are academics, then we should argue academically. So you don't come and set a question for yourself and put me into your question and answer it. So, Dr. Mensah, when in my conversation did I say ASM, were the things we're dealing with? At the end, I can wasm, and we'll say why research. And it's interesting that your research is only in one direction, and you won't do a holistic research to be able to tell us what the pros and cons of the illegal and irresponsible mining are about. So that we then can take a decision. Well, I'm not an academic, though I have a doctorate, but I'm an engineer. And for me, I will look at the total cost of whatever it is a year. Until when you get into the situation where you tell me, because we've used the military for a particular thing and it has failed, we should stop it. And I think that's when my colleague from UTAG put it in the very right perspective. Only a number of times I used to start police to deal with the issue of road safety. Only a number of people are still moving. Now you're using law enforcement to deal with it. The only thing about it is we need to live in an environment that yes, you are there. The Japanese continuous improvement. And then again, in the issue of using the military and law enforcement for illegal and irresponsible mining, not just ASM, the fact that we need to be using the latest technologies. And now, my colleagues, we need to now get smart at it. Prof, no, because I say, soldier for neighbor, now man for no more, omaba. Why should we have to, be using these rudimental ways? What has happened to satellite imagery? What has happened to intelligence? What has happened to the drones? YemanGhana was zipline drones. You had to deliver a no comma and crop for. Why would we not be able to get drones that would be able to tell us where these people are? Using heat maps to be able to say, nipe waha, so that you do intelligence-led and smart, monitoring and enforcement of your laws. My main concern, another thing, one of the immediate solutions, humans. This tracking systems now, you can't watch them now. And they've piloted it to the extent of a control room be a war and cry. Where geo fencing of excavators and all the heavy moving equipment. Stopping equipment from Accra. Ubebusa who sayadainti and up till now implement here. It is again sort of your fundamental problem say it's because you're paying for almost solve the problem involved. Professor Suka wants them doc research also can want them say you're paying for now form. So if we don't resolve the problem, say you deploy drones now aircon now obia fraka say we there minipa and now when you know your NDC chairman and now your MPP Dr. Honorable Amakofibua the statements for parliament now. I think the MP for Kankwe I said both parties remember in the MPP time there were NDC MP some MPs who also were involved in it. At the end of the day, political class and they use not to be able to destroy it. So once we have the political will, we will be able to deal with it. But communications like this, who try to paint it as if everybody who is trying to say, a responsible thing is up against those who are doing proper mining. No, that in communication, it is just their strategy to be able to point you out as wrong, so that you don't do it and you go against it. Doctor was telling us about the fact that it's not as if he's against it. But you, in your research, you've not told us the number of people who have lost their lives. You've not told us the people who have lost their livelihoods. And my sister Elizabeth Ekachono, as you are looking at the contribution, to poverty and to people being wealthy, you should also be able to tell some of the places where illegal mining has taken place in there, and they have left the place, and the level of the squalor and the poverty that is in there. There are small scale miners, they have mined so well. By the time I'm with you, your friend say, I have mine, your reclamation is no money. Though they were not supposed to postpone. Those are not the people here come. And then illegal mining, also you can't. And yes, small scale miners, well, Akonta mining, Omukota no number forest reserve, no. Yes, small scale miners. Heritage Imperial, your exploratory licenses are almost started mining with some over 20 excavators. Almost small scale miners. So it has nothing to do with scale. It has nothing to do with the type of mining. All it has to do is the illegality. And then another thing, so Prof. Kaya, and I think about the issue of licenses. How do you? I agree. Say to me, try say a license people, but you license the numbers that you can control. No large scale miner goes to mine when they've not done exploration. So we need to get to the point again where we say, before anybody puts his pickaxe, or he puts any equipment anywhere to mine, we have done the difficult work of the exploration to be able to ensure there's commercial quantity, the ore body there is that rich to be able to generate enough resources. Not only would you commercially but you'll be able to restore the land. Not only are you restoring the land, the flora and fauna, you should be able to restore it. It's familiar again. I don't think after Elizabeth Aka-Sakra, in terms of the short-term things, the first short-term things the president needs to do is to make sure, we the water bodies, any forest reserves, they are no-go areas. They should be made no-go areas. We should deploy all the technology to be able to ensure all of those people, they will leave our water bodies, the buffers of our water bodies, they will leave it. The forest reserve will flush all those 9 people, we take back our 9 forest reserves. And I can tell you, if you leave that to the military without any order from above, don't get the Minister for Defense involved in it, and then give them clear KPIs, guidelines as to what they ought to do, they will recover those 9 for us. Then also we need to make sure, the LI 2462, next week we should be able to revoke it. If the president wants to revoke it now, it would be revoked. So we should make sure that is done immediately. We should also make sure, in Penifona, who have been named, who have been fingered as being involved in Galamsey, the NDC wants which would be Elizabeth, the NDC party won the constituency chairman. That case should be investigated. The MP for Arwen, who also happens to be an NDC person, that case should also be investigated. The case of Akonta mining there does not need to be investigated. It's been investigated. It should be taken to court. He should be brought to court. So that once you start doing that, you are dealing with them. The same way Otum for against Sahim for Treno, you are beginning to do that. Then we would start making progress. Now the next steps, we need to deal with them. We need to make sure that the issues around traceability, and I may say equipment, and also a pilot process. The president said, or Catcher Mineral Commission said, among commercializing, I think they even have rates. I'll make me a charge. There's a fee fixing guidelines on it. What the excavator bar. We will be able to say, now, you better track size excavator, baby, I am our concession. You bet me making sure say and no your zoning no correct. Another challenge is you want to say in terms of your maps you know your systems move away no topological maps now no say emblem any. So let's make sure that is there and those maps are updated. Because we also now I have to do baby on your court Wasa Kropon. Also one be by concession the palace a concession. So we need to make sure that there's a lot of transparency in the processes so far as the granting of the licenses are concerned. And see, I completely agree, say Yema license, but Yema license are able to me in your control. I also agree, say Yen decentralized. It's Sanomania, Oko NDC, MPP for manifesto numa egum. Another major thing I see it to be air traceability. I know say traceability of diamond is more easier than gold, but other countries have been able to do it. You know, it's able to, you are able to trace in the value chain. Say anyway. So we need to work at that and make sure that there's some traceability. Open to me a tracing from A to B. I know since I appoint MMDCs, you know, and I agree with Elizabeth. You know, it's as if we're twins. All the things he's saying, I completely agree with it. We need to make sure. So one of the KPIs, the MMDCs, you know, the fact that there cannot be galamsey happening in your community. If you're an MDC, one of them, and there's galamsey happening in your community, there are two things happening. It's either you are so incompetent you cannot represent the president, or you are complicit and you are engaged in the situation that is at hand. In both cases, you are not worthy. It should be a clear KPI that is set for them, and the president should mention it publicly and be able to ask people to provide him evidence so that once it happens and you are not dealing with it, you are dealt with. If you are found to be complicit, say former Bosomo from MC, you are taken to court and you are prosecuted, not only just dismissed. So that also should, the KPIs clearly should be set and should be made to work. And then on the issues of the involvement of the chiefs, again I agree with Elizabeth. Some of our chiefs have just indicated, that they are not worthy to be called chiefs, that they themselves are either complicit or they are they are incompetent to be our chiefs. Beyond the Jema or Hineno, there is a community, ensure I work on, Omo friend is Subone. They don't have a male chief. They don't even have a female chief. They have a queen mother. Now, queen mother, they are not going to allow that to happen. Not too far away from them, there's galamsey happening. It is and it is very important that we harness the local community leadership. And I call it leadership, not just the chiefs. It's not just the chiefs. So we need to bring the local community into the galamsey. And I agree, say galamsey is a national problem, but it has local solutions. But I see the framework, the way the chiefs have to do their things, the traditional authorities have to do their things. But most importantly, is the empowering the communities so that they can point them out. MC is not they can point them out. But we need to involve them. Now, and a lot of education for them to change their mindset. Say to me now when I say I can for I'm school now and then within a few days what car that there be after a few years then generational poverty starts. How do we ensure that no man is the more mining now? It will bring generational wealth, not generational poverty after we've taken care of you. Again, community mining, because of the lack of political will again, it became an avenue for political apparatchiks just to now take the illegal and irresponsible mining, normal colano. Not to say almost say no community mining. So I see a revisiting community mining again. They are making sure that when it comes to community mining, ownership belongs to the community. So that factor of production, assassin, what percentage of the community mining we no equity near the amount they also have some share on it on behalf of the people. What percentage do they have? The assembly that is a representative of the government, they also have some share in it. What percentage? And for our responsibility, they will bring a lot of the young engineers, the geologists, and all of that who are currently unemployed, bring them in and get them to come and work. As Prof. Khan, they cannot be doing their work without, all of the, including the environmentalists and some work on, all of those people will have to be there. That place that will friend the community mind, and say geologists, they will say the concession, the gold or the richness of it is good enough to be able to mine. Then you get that also done. Then you also then ensure that you empower the people in the community. The jobs that do not require a lot of training, you get them in there, and then you make sure that you employ them. So almost they will get their salaries in it. Into your mining area, the profit that will come out of it, then you make sure that when you be to restoration. So we need to redefine the community mining thing and make sure that they are transparent. So that who in the past government it just became an avenue for political politics. And then issues around and one of the things I would also suggest is say yanko the manifestos of the NDC nankasemu. Now yanko the manifesto of the MPP. There are a lot of solutions in there. What solving your short-term measure of stopping the distraction. And then another major important thing, and I agree with Prof. when he talks about empowering the mining association, getting them into a chamber with a lot more power to be able to control. We need to involve the responsible miners, Gordon Amanin and Crawford, we need to involve them into it. They have the solutions. We need to bring the large-scale miners. They also have the solution to it. Get them all together and work and make sure, sir, if you don't belong, meaning say your freedom of association there, but if you don't belong to the associations that are recognized by the state, where you say obey a controller, you will not be given a concession. So you work together with them. Matisa buying about medium scale mining. I am just hoping, say, medium scale mining. It will not be an avenue to then just give the that class to other foreigners, and the locals will not have a part of it. I see making sure, say, the same way the large scale miners have the local content thing. Medium scale mine would almost be like the small scale mine. Well defined, Ghanaians will come in there, be able to provide the resources to be able to do the mining. As we look at all of this, again, we need to look at the health implications, the social implications of the things. I know now my colleague from UTAC, the challenges, the renal diseases are here. And then another thing is that HIV is even very prevalent in those places. And because of the proliferation of ammunition, any arms, any ammunition that were around here, we are cultivating places that would become, say, the Liberia war on the sea. Most of the issues were around the mines. So we need to make sure that our military, when they go in there with intelligence, they make sure the threat around terrorism, dollar power, those areas, now CD off, we need to use intelligence-led people. Professor to make sure that we're dealing with the problems that you're creating around arms in those places. The issues around prostitution, into most of these places, HIV is also on the rise. Into renal diseases, now only dialysis machine. The next, you are in trouble. And Prof, I don't know. I thought I thought they said there were some particular crops where if you planted in some of these polluted places are heavy metals, it helps take them out. So we should be able to deploy some of these technologies to also be able to change it. But critically in all of this, making sure that the youth, we change our mindset. The mindset I feel say you try to touch my area, I feel say we really have not resolved it. So it is important that we play on the mindset of our people. We use some of the influencers among themselves to be able to let them know and also show them alternatives. It is sometimes when we talk about this mining thing and we forget about the alternatives, sometimes it's also painful. Because over 1 acre of land, you will be able to make a maximum of about $60,000 out of that. But avocado, Okotua bibiti say coconut. There's work that have been done by the agronomists, your friend is agricultural economists, to be able to tell you, sir, we think because that one you can do into 20, 30 years. And so some of these schemes, we should be able to also deploy them in some of these, so that you bet me demonstrate it to your Mebunun and the people in those communities. They say there is money to be made out of it, so that we can work together with them. The times it will take a while to be able to come. No, we are supporting them in a particular manner. And I think the solution is there. But critically is the political will. Critically is to take out the politicians who are benefiting out of the illegality and the irresponsibility. And then also we need to manage the communication. Managing communication, and then when we say the 1.7, we don't say it properly. When we say the thing about the fact that ASM brings, and we don't manage it properly, it does become fodder for the criminals who want to take advantage of it. Until we need to be very clear to our people and paint the story, making sure that the total cost of the issues of mining irresponsibly and constantly, let's differentiate between the legal miners who are mining properly and those who are mining irresponsibly, who are the majority of it, and make sure, say, we will save ourselves from this genocide and ecocide that confronts us.
But I was say, now, answer now, advice to the president. What advice to the president? Any minister and aiding shortly. Nefe otherwise if the minimum say Oroko baby. Yeah.
Doc. So my advice to the president is there's a lot of things that he said when he was campaigning. Fortunate thing of your president is he's in a very good place. He has been a president before, so that's where I depart a bit with Doc about said they were in opposition and they did not. So he's been there before, he's run it before, he knows it. He sat in opposition for 8 years. He got feedback that he would not have gotten when he was president. Then now he's also a one-term president. He does not have too long a time to be able, to make the change. And posterity will judge him right if he takes legacy living things. He should, and he said it already, said, you want to get into mining, please, so he needs to walk that particular talk. He has two opportunities to be able to deal with it. The MP for when he needs to state openly that case should be investigated. The NDC chairman in that particular community, Agamutu, said he is trespassing, which is an illegality. He should get that also investigated. That he should do immediately. Akunta Mining, he should get the prosecution to start. He should get the Professor Frimpong Boateng issues, get them to start looking into it. And he has to be open and transparent and accountable and forceful about that. And from the honorable minister, after that speech, where we thought he was just lamenting, apparently he was acting, and he had sent the military in there. I like that strategy of not talking about it and dealing with it. It's normal. He needs to be very decisive about it, but he cannot allow when the NDC chairman in his community is being accused that he will not speak about it, that he will not deal with it. So he needs to be decisive, but he has to be open. And he has to make sure that there will be people that he disagrees with, he shares the wrong, but he should be open to their suggestions and be seen to be acting. He should not be minded about the politicians. He should solve the challenge that political will now president should have, or not. He has the power to be able to do that. And I'm pretty sure that he will be able to do it. So let's act. What we need to do now is just action. Let's act, and let's act in the interest of Ghana. Let's put Ghana first. Let's, it is really possible to reset the sector, the mining sector, and make sure that we are moving from irresponsible and illegal mining to responsible mining that actually empowers us. Because again, from academics, in these communities, I say, ASM, which of those communities have really transformed? Apart from those ones that, you will see say what legal small scale miners are and that's the large scale miners who also are putting something back. You know, and those are the things that we need to do. But in all of this, you know, as one of my colleagues can, we're about the future, about here and neck. So yen savvy and kasa wende. But is and making sure say microphone beba chinano omono so omenye biaye. Some of Bonina ye no yen colonialists no mobile no nim say sikakoko ewo insuonum. Omonim some of a lot of these forest reserves no. Omonim says sikakoko, that's why they call them reserves. But yen yaba sesia no yen and therefore no, we are being more wicked than even our colonial masters. Inti yen na yen so yam boy and nankawe for ochnebi, but we can do it. And then the other thing I make our citizens no so say Sadia na yebeja ejuma nama only the politicians omunyeno eti professional bodies no they should also come and support omunja sadia na omuhu Elizabeth okase Elizabeth o yadio you know omunso omunfa omunbeboa asori no Roman sorry de omuye da no omunkoso anye imams ne traditional leaders ye nya yenka ye ntuma mbom. They are making sure say that president, no. Now you minister, no. They are making sure say this particular way we akwa ye kokase ye kono ye bedin kunim.
Yeah, that was a pa. Yeah, that was a. Enim say ubeja we ho no wako tuadwuma bi so obabi. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, that was it. Have a good day. You. I'm call Professor J ho. Prof. Mpacho woso.
Yes, sir. Was doctor.
Prof, who colleagues are Kasabiri na concluding remarks. What's the way forward? Then to see a year, then to see a year. In summary, Brett and FA second topic. So into concluding remarks.
Yo, concluding remarks, Medasi. Ni here say send ye na yaji atumunu. Ghana wo emra papa. Ewo ho. Inti ye make sure say you comply with your rules. Na me introduce new topic remarks. Say community be any large scale mining company in confrontation over land use see a 2 year boss na year because communities no they are claiming some natural birthrights to the extent that look Ghana, we have not been fair with the small scale miners. The small scale miners. Usually, exploration in area, the less areas of less content, you know, and when you're blocking out for small scale miners, so there's serious competition between communities, you know, any large scale miners, you know, for mining space. And say community leader, ejina wana on a man for say, ye pe baby edia ye juma. It needs to be looked at. Yes, you be looking at it, go investigate and arrest a leader. But as you show when you bet me a solution, a be sustainable. Na at me a last scale mining companies today. At me an aguma. Na communities and at me livelihood because there's strong competition between large scale miners and small scale miners. At the end of the day, no crown. So communities, they are the owners of the land. And your bond of 1844 na ebeje assassinate free and 18 me serem eho no mumye hwe woyi na ye hwe nso a environmental pollution ni de sometimes aya na ye hwe nsuo ni nko a me serem mumye hwe mframa nso because me metita kwa ha so bus station ha amanfo ebeni no awmanyan amalgam no omo beni atese ubehuna mercury vapor no enso enam mframem enam abontin eno so ye serious health hazard as here because mercury no yin ebetumi agina famem ma bese bosome mi ensampo na wo ho ai betumi inhale ko emu a etumi hayadwen meta mercury betumi ahayadwen etino mercury ho no effect ne de edoso etini ebehia se me de I always stand and I will stand say internal militarization is not the solution to small scale mining problem at small scale mining na ye engage the communities make us say kurano Ghana ha you need proper tertiary training of miners our country ni nyina ka ho because woman 100 mercury onim the health effect of mercury or person suban so we should continue education community empowerment and enforcement of our laws eno na betumi aboa yen enti ni ensuo ni ne ma mo sen no eyade a enye but ye kire se ye san so aka say the environment can be protected I betumi so amine enti yen hwe okwan e befa so ye benya sa equilibrium na yetumi a supporting mining yetumi so keep your environment safe ye ne sa e betumi ayi because Ghana and mining there uji mining free Ghana for what enye is part of our culture, a part of our economy, a part of our social networks. Into mining there we cannot do away with it. Into medase a doctor medemanu be here.
Prof ya beda wase bibia yeto nsafra on obuayen eda wase pa ma menko Dr. Mensa ho Dr. Mensa doc mbacho wo so
ipocho mo
doc mbacho concluding remarks yo
ipocho medase now one fan me there na me twi no some of the words na me use no na me timi kan wo twi mu ntina make abrofo bebrebe no because
fantenem remu yo
yeah
problem here ni
in fact Dr. Ashibe Akasa bebre pa and I think say most of the solutions are contained in the things that he said holistically you mean well I'm me environmentalist my papers not less than 30 it's all about sustainable mining, sustainable environmental management. In fact, me environmentalist and me new bia and I look at remediation as a core of a research interest. Me new bia me for environmental degradation do. As a matter of fact, environmental degradation now small scale mining work course anything the people are speaking against them. But we are also as researchers trying to open our eyes to see say the argument should be holistic and that we shouldn't like Professor Dr. Ashibe was saying say your researchers should look at this area. I mean every research has limitations and we speak only to facts, we speak only to evidence that we have found. So it is what we have found is what we say. And I mean me feed mining area wo pistia inti mining no small scale minimum kasa inti when I talk about artisanal small scale mining, it's not that I'm living in Accra and saying some things or I'm living in Kumasi and I'm saying some things. The things that I say are things that I've seen, things that I've worked on, and things that can work. Just like our professor said, no academia, no researcher will tell you that the way to go is military. It will not work today, it will not work tomorrow, and it will never work. That is the gospel truth according to research. So, but when you say that, it doesn't mean that we hate our country and that we want people to go on with environmental degradation. But there are solutions. There are solutions that can be harnessed. As a matter of fact, Galamsey is not armed robbery. Armed robbery, we are talking about an economic activity that has the potential to ameliorate poverty in mining communities. And mining is an economic activity. Armed robbery is not taught at school. Armed robbery is not an economic activity. We are talking about an economic activity that must be done sustainably in order to ameliorate poverty in mining communities. So when we are saying some things on air, we should also be very circumspect the way we use emotions and sentiment to sort of talk about things. But then let's talk about how to turn this around. For me, we have done some work. We have to invest into what is called post-mining land use strategies. When I talk about post-mining land use, as Asina was saying, we can still use it. It can be used for agriculture, it can be used for forestry, it can be used for tourism, it can be used for educational purposes, it can be used for so many things. So we should look at post-mining land use strategies. In fact, we have done some work, and the work that we did was trying to look at how we can convert a contaminated mining site, Galamsey. So what we did was that we went for the soil from maybe why Galamsey, and yaba lab. Then what we did was to add amendment, bit there compost, a bit there manure, a bit there biochar, and are these able to do two things? two things. One, is it able to control and regulate the pollution in the soil? Two, is it able to also bring about growth or yield for the crop? And three things. Is the amendment that you are going to apply, compost, any biochar, any manure, is it going to, can it stop the plant from taking up what is called the toxic element and heavy metal? I think that is the experiment that we have done, and we have set quite a very wonderful solution that if you use biochar beats a BDA ya it man BDA no e dia fra offense soil no obanema BDA no what can there, it has a stabilization effect in chain there obema offend then on ma kwanma plant no on fund by na or soil anymore no best stopping. And another thing they make my day, you have to be substitution planting. Substitution planting, what in a day? Plant with there, a bro, or a grass. You better me deal baby offend then, why you contaminated no? Na science no, I would nature no only a bro no, yet it is the top part that is eating, the edible part is the grain, but the bro root no. Obetwe ndobaye no ninti no obetwe ndobaye no na ode gu ninti ni mu nti no makwan ma on fruit soro on ko bebia nipa oil then odi ni mu. And let's invest also into what is called concurrent rehabilitation bit ma chere minus no say for before ebe di assassinate we no you claim the area na amine no before you move on to the next one. It's called concurrent rehabilitation, so you will claim as you mine. And another thing is when you say, let us ensure, say, there's fair distribution of the national cake. There's a fair distribution of the mining revenue. Dr. Asante, I call you professor, but the point is that it is not fair the way the mining revenue is distributed. When you go to the mineral investment, the mineral income fund, it tells you, and I think, I don't know if it has changed, but the mining revenues will share something between 7 to 10% out of their total revenue. Now, out of this 7 to 10% will share, 80% goes to the central government and only 20% comes to the community. When our good sister was speaking, he said, "Say, mining community over there, one assassin one Diana what they what you could a good word over there what the process they have to bring this process to the mining community." But you send 80% to the central government and you bring only 20%, and the 20% that is given to the mining community, you don't even know. Actually, 10% it goes to the supervisory institutions like the EPA, the Mineral Commission, and then Ghana Chamber of Mines and all that. Only 10% goes to the stool land, and the 10% that goes to the stool land, there's no law that actually talks about how it should be used. People are staying in mining community. They are mining their gold. The land is for them, but they are living in poverty. And people, they are going to be angry. They are going to be angry. So that is the point. So that is why people they sort of take up their tools and cutlasses to go dig the land. Then we can make use of professional engineers. There should be a deliberate, consented effort to make the small scale mining work. Now we can do this by sending to small scale mining companies in our register. Okay, we send them the professional engineers from UMAT, from KNUST, from other institutions. We send these professional engineers to go to their field, okay, and teach them proper way of doing sustainable mining. Some of them can be environmental engineers, and some of them can also be what is called geologists. Some of them can be environmentalists. Some of them can be mining engineers, so that they do, the proper thing. And let's also ensure what is called self-regulation. Self-regulation, say, use the mining company, mining association, ASM association, use them, they themselves to regulate their own activity. Now, the point is this: when you use the small scale miners and association to regulate the activity, when maybe a mining also take place, and they know where the people are doing the illegality, and also because of that, they are brothers. They will listen to them. Than bringing someone from Accra, a soldier who doesn't know the terrain, the geography of the area that he's being sent to. So let us use the small-scale miners themselves to regulate their activity. We call it self-regulation. Then the last thing I will say, let us strengthen the use of what is called indigenous knowledge. Indigenous knowledge is this. Those days, you know, now I say, if you're in Suwe, one friend or in Suke Tekete, in Suwe, young fat, you fan too. And there are some days who are young fishing, and other days who are young habim, and all those things in Nano, they help to conserve and to conserve our natural resources, and they also aided to sort of sustainably manage our environment. You know, all these things being put aside with effective communication and with effective participation of the local people, I think in the mineral resource governance, I think we'll be able to harness the good that small-scale mining offers and to be able to reduce the environmental consequences that come along. Thank you.
That's it. So when you're Brahma and pay, you say, oh, Juma Udi, ye Mpabota Wechi, would maybe a Udi home. Debbie, I better suffer. You did say, Obaba. Mamre studio. Dr. Harrison, summary, concluding remarks, briefly, if there was a second topic, I say about Sukakra, Nafi, and concluding remarks, Pajo.
That's I mean, fan free baby, Minia, Dr. Mesa, Elandian. Ideas are put across very, very brilliant. Nin, Okwan Wafaso, now we reclaim used land, Bebre. One component, one was the cost of reclaiming the land. Into Wakotu, a good year was so you want to reclaim the land, celebrating the dear body banchi at what cost? Relative to Sika, what to free assassin. Into where your cost benefit analysis now, then you can tell whether say, you be a good year, I was a wutu, and I say was a wuja or assassin. And that's where the irresponsible mining thing comes in. And untina ama yeni aberen. If we are mining in a responsible way, any problem, because you acquire your first one, you're mining in a responsible way. Ubia reclamation doesn't have to cost so much because gold nagatan a certain distance from the surface. Topsoil gold no minimum underneath the topsoil a hot gold no. Inti baby ye no ye di kan epia surface soil na akogu baby na ya mine awie no na ye de awuduru afra no edi kan akogu ase na ye de topsoil no abegu so ntia no okra unhu so asase no ye de mining epen if you say topsoil na e woso no eno na esan woso na no utimi dua bibia ope. That is how responsible mining is supposed to be. So you sequester the heavy metal dosed soil no underneath beyond a certain depth. I no ain't me ma so dia body banchi endu sa hono na kwotwe sa wudro no abegu nnuane mu na di susaso bone abre enipa no. You know, I agree. Say in terms of methodology or the various means of reclaiming used land, bebre nemum at what cost? Oh yeah, biochar, 20 acres of land, biochar to do saying and I've been here. At what cost? Into the cost implications, you know, as important as the method itself. Engineer, I was say taking all that into consideration. I'm say engineer should be a kind of communication. And I totally agree. Look, acquire your first communicate galamsey any effect any other, you know, it's very important. Reverse of Ghana, Nansenya ya committee bia yate. Omo mu dia ni say mo pe fa kwan foforo so a e be communicate galamsey a wudro ho sunsuanso kwan be fa so a ye ne state education of the mining communities e be take place e be ma obi ehun say masudie ni de me ye ni sunsuanso ni not in the combative way but in a drama filled, you know, a way that appeals to your emotions. Now Emma Nkrofo who said no, but those are long-term measures. Sabi, when you are bleeding, you don't go calmly. You have to take aggressive action, and then when you have stopped the bleeding, you can begin to see why did you bleed? What happened, and how do you prevent that from happening in future? And me say ni no ne kwanso ano no before the adwubre ato no yenhwe na yenye de tene na fata Ghana dachi na sele me kan you tag de enim defo bebre honum na okon a ya start ye last year yenye mu se aban anya de wo so ye ene ntasuko no ba wo mi se beti akire no efi se yenim se ye ne ene e dachi hu hia che bibia nti ye bese aban panifo momma modern na emra no se da tie no ya enforce solutions are ya provide no ya modern na ya ndisu tonten na me gidi se ni na beboa ama Ghana fa ne ntuma pa afra
doc answer na me no bewie wo ho no esansa wo ye chemist nti nuru awudru na hye wo emframam wo asasim wo nsum dan ne yenye se yebetimi esi wenyina no a continuous pollution no has to stop, and is what the solution hon me say me yi awudru afri nsuom afri asasim se nipa na all the pollution ba no okoswa no solution is even useful nti the edikan ni say nipa na mo ti nsuom so di awudru egu nsuom no I say you nyina ifri on na ye ne saa ye wie no nature has a way of healing itself as nsuo nankasa cell na ewom no ewo kwan fa so etimi atwetwe saa awudru no into over time no etimi remove awudru no na ye wa abefu kwan a etimi efa so a ye de betimi de gu nsuo no a ebetimi ama awudru yi atwetwe afrim na over time no ama the content of heavy metal no akofom kwan fodoro de bebre nemom de hia ne say you don't continually pollute and then expect say you can use any other method to remove them and no de emfa into say ye betimi aso ano a ene enioma ekoso wo yensuo so no I will say ye immediately no ye jai na the emframa ne de no sabe so what the mercury ehuru gold we na o hiti na eko settle on particulate matter dust na ewo wiem no mercury no settle on it ndi mframa no ohome na mercury ne ewura mu ndi sabi onye se nsuo nko a na the emani ehunu se sa dust ne ash ne particulate matter yi mframa ba moving from one place to the other ndi o te oboase na wo ye we mframa no ba ebetumi dina ba bedun kran ebetumi dina ba kodu kumase nti ba bia no over time no mframa ni na will be full of these heavy metal infested air nti no enye se mfa me ho efa yi nyina ye ho emfa ho bebia wo because e won mframam e won suom e won sasim na the ecosystem ni na no if it gets polluted eventually we are all going to suffer for it. That's it. Meba 1 minute bio ayi wo friend den nuanga yedi was a way forward ebro banche koko aye tongna emma omen ibiribi na me no yensa kwayen ano kire ibiribi concluding remarks wo ho na yenhwe
Medasminia the problem you facing obunebeka say monumental se wudro ewura ensasirimu a se medical kanu ye koko coffee enuana yedi na no atwetwe se wudro indi se wudi a be wura wu na the problem abrow cocoa so see Ghana cocoa one we have shortfall but secondly quality no it reduce because the wudro a woman no it keeps increasing indeed the decline I will say ma continuous monitoring akoso sabi enuane a ye ton ewo edwom woni be free indeed I will say deploy your chemist no no mo kofa samples near say anye bia atisan because I will see who say to what extent now these is being contaminated by these heavy metals. Now see who say bi horma levels no too high. I will say to me immediately no, you remove it from the market. Me just say big countries are just you tested you salmonella and that's a bacteria be contaminated yogurt and that's a visa. Now you recall all those. Continuous monitoring is the only way I bit me identify which crops are heavily polluted by these metals. Now you recall those from the market. Say be ya microphone koto no munkodi. But you cocoa no dey. But say acquire a sacred ya dwuma bebre afa ho na se yanhwe ne yie na se Ghana's cocoa gets rejected because of high levels of these awudro na me gidi say ebeye asefim it will really create economic crisis for us. Intimate yamma these preventive measures na yede to akwam no eho hia yi asase no se wo ma galamsey no ekoso a awudro no ebewura asase no mu cocoa no be akotwetwe atwetwe so a bewura cocoa beans no mu ede nsem bebre ebeba indino the best way is to prevent the illegal mining activities anywhere close to these farming communities. You can say, look, mining close to a farmlands, no, near that in Yambani, said we reduce the risk of introducing these metals into our supply chain in terms of food supply systems. Now, we have to prevent the problem rather than try to solve it, because to get rid of it is very difficult, nearly impossible. The best medicine is to prevent its contamination into the food systems. Doc,
Ubesomansa, na men chireti for say programming yesho Facebook Live, ube Angel TV News. And if you want Angel News 102.9, if you want WhatsApp 055, open the WhatsApp message bar 0551 669 325. Young telephone number any yere baby buatum na obi a kire nadwene wo ansemo ya kan hu if say galamsi asam no aya ahometew pa na telephone number ni 055 166 9325. Mesanga team 055 166 9325. Young WhatsApp number meri team bio 055 166 9325. And now we show Facebook page, you know, we shall be Angel TV News. Na upasa uti radio so ya Angel 102.9. Ya baby ya say Madam Va onkoya baby samri kakrebi na yako nefe yenga buatum na yenga tie. Madam wo so na
yeah, me wa ha.
Madam Va.
Yes.
Yo. Kanye. Hello?
Yes, me wa ha. What menka?
You, madam.
Okay. Asamu de ne nyina na yaka no. As usual no Dr. Harrison ya wo studio hono mo na ene Dr. Ashigbe aka ni ame waka nyina. Mema minister ati ase say Ghana for vote for a change. Reset no we ka ho. Because when put the no the existential. I mean academics are continue. I don't have to add too much. But omo nya kukudro and stress ade ni huduma. Emma yenya yureshemu say ye man no ebegina ne nan so bi because say half of us poison that. Yenamo a yenya kidney contamination na. What use is whatever little money sa galamsey no ade braye enti omo hwe na airline no so no oche hododo airline 2462 no yempo de na yenim say yenya ba ya first sitting of parliament na ye le afi de ose afi no mo ye ho okasempo deliberations I mean chadodo enti omo modern ya ye hwe no mo ye the right thing na we'll give them the credit that is due. Yen can say my mine. No. Yen tabotre enye mining no se ne ya ebe boa ye nyina as a country emfa owo maye enti no kakra me de beso so me da ase bebre
yo say yenga tietie na madam answer na obekọ kra no then advice nso na wo ma communities na mining koso wo advice community what
and yeah baby a mining ekoso no
na fe we are my advice to the president na fe de atiefu mram na madam na me no we
yo medas communities no nya meka kire omo nso ne se ayi sika no de nyame de amamo ewo mo asase no enti yenhwe kwan pa ye faso a ye betu a emma mo yare enku ye in the process enna yaka no ye ne aban ni kita ho enye senia ye de enuoma betutu ye a mo benya mo chefa ewo sika na ewo mo man no mu but mo koye no in a way a ebekum asai mo nchirima ene na chese mo nyanka ye enti yenya abotre na yen siki the right things na woti woman na ye say bibia don menka say mfa wo ho no so make us no communities be any omudi djuma te say emranti youth the war sefia tronsu youth the war jema youth the war asemkrom youth the ones in my various communities no even a few people are war in the east evaluate jomorojura most of them are standing up for their community ebi mo kra ya boa omuma enioma no asem no da so wo court ya court sa over 4 years and no mo they shouldn't be discouraged na ebesra abansi se onhwe sa enioma ni nyina all these people are seeking for is that omo community no ebe ye okay enti no omo na sa legal yi no enkosi bibi papa we all deserve a community ayetina mu a ye be ye secure. That's all we are asking for. President no ene yakano be brave. He should act. And until I am man no what do you call it? The majority of one LI 2462 no within before I be do end of March no yan repeal is adie no emwaye kra and then enforce our laws, keep us safe. Now you making sure say you go to no and mineral resources are your one. Young question Botswana, they gain about 60% of their diamond and other resources. I didn't think we almost give it out. Now you 10%. Now you basa large mining companies no po. It been more tax free period no. Ebesa no more some would be no more it's like they are continually behaving like new companies and so that they can avoid tax. Are they? And we need a reset of how Sanya ye see a share Sanya ye see a ye mining no any ye minerals, near oil, ne bibiara yakupon dia chaye no. Yantinasi and you know who ye na ye make sure say Ghana gets the share that it deserves. Because any say what all these things now there be here for there be for patches. You see Trump say my be and now we are begging. Yeah, we have the resources. So we have to make the most of it. We have to gain from it. Na ya de chechadodo. Nti ya no so kakra me de beto so no. That was it.
Say ya beda was pa beda was e was baby a wona adenchen ye nso yan ase wo bre ye wo ya da was ye did say another time be ye hia wa ye to nsa ye nsa beka ye da was doctor ye be koso ye second topic briefly ye bobo ne members yo answer ne ye be ko no ma ye nko hamano so phone call na ye ntie mpacha no wo hamano so no mo ni din no nkyere ba bi o kasafi
FM Ahmed Mr. Free Konongo
yo miura mpacha o kasa yo aya ma wo ne so kakra man
pacho ai me na ni bi na aye heavy metals na heavy metals na mo ka ho astem no me research kakra me ye no dudu oda efi baby a aya o mu process ye friend say nuane no bibi ti say baby a nika baby a ye yam abru ene sa no mana ye yam no hon me na sa heavy metals na ye dey efi me research kakra me ye no and mestre say sa you me dey fuja nanka mosuma ye sa research no because nika say na omde dey the process and as your friends are brewing tools in the no. Omu materials be omudi sa nika say your friend nickel. This time omu use your friend say say mazi mate and omu de omu use. Nti so omu ko bo nika say na fufura. Udu unsa faso kura wan hwe ya ayi e be chow. Until the moment omudi your friend say abru anayira ombeguma ombasa ise omo yam no saa yiri nyina ebubu egu saa abru anase ntu saa mo yede omo yam no nti mu de mo pa saa yiwe ameka no mu de mo fa abru anabibi say na mo fa nko machine mechanical wo de omo yam a fa magnet na fa your friend say abru na omo yam no na mu hwe meta sa magnet na ebechi afri sa yinum
yo I'm saying
yeah research we
yo ya te ye beda wase na mum ne oka no madwunu mu ayem na kakra esa ne se sa afiri a wode ya maburoyi a nkrofo frɛ ne nika yi enye ne wode ayem maburo a yen adi da na se niema bi wo ma ekum nipa ka me jedi se oman obi ante ase o na mum ne waka no ato yen asum opening doctor okunini Harrison waha na o saa nkomo yi oti asepa nti obeka bibi a kire yen wo ho yo ne yeda wase doctor ka bibi kire yen
me na ofre me da wase say the okan ne mum it is a bit misleading you see
doc gina so answer 1 minute obi wo hamana so mpacho ne wo hamana so omuni din no nkire me baby okase
hello mpacho frem ko samoka
kwaku dem
ko samoka ka se fro boase
yo kwaku kasa
onse ye hano bibi se no se fone onse mining companies no so mo ye yi na mo be kwa ana se mo yes bidura na mo tenyi omudin no ayi adid ne basa ye o mine no yen ka jo se o ye the line se ma so be last u tenyi dina o se di ade na etimi benefit ye ne ye nkwala ne ye nana mo e basa ye na e wu na ye nya adwuma nya ne benye bia ye so
yo
hello
yo yetio
nti yen hwe sa yi ni nhwe ni because adding ebu uta utifie na anya adwuma na wani abre unu obi ti wano aduane wanye ska anu abi utibi ne ma na we rent na anti se de te bia obe kwa pa adwuma bia ya onso benya wano aduane
yo yeah that's it
so
that's it yo doctor mbacho
yeah so let me say the way I was putting it, it's a bit misleading and is a so okay you you're using nika say problem now can if that's how extensive it is and gamia say you yes nika no metal to metal and yeah dear in say metal no wear out na say ya repair ni here it me emma sa some of the metals no echo enuanim na it is not as extensive as he's putting it and yet he said there with the magnet to a magnet a bit much metals no me sure say sanity but it no crese say nika no area I was say you replacing no say ya njenyi no na say cost why the yama and no it mean ma sa metals no it mean euram nemom the change say metals no because there are different forms of the metal say a metallic element na anka no enyi sere nyi hu nemom your ionic element no and then the problem ba no nti te say iron rod metal nanso no so uhia yes umuja ekofo na yema iron tonica enye yankasa kwawe iron rod because we metallic iron na mount the ionic metal na uhia ewo woni padua mu no nti the ionic form the ionized forms of the metal no enna a deep problem no eba no and also na ye nipadua no etimi absorb ekoyimu na nka ka metal nko a anka ye nhira ni problem ntina utimi the metals to say hold mic hold adan yetimi metals room ni na no obi availability and yet available for absorption into your system nemom se metal no ionica ionizer and no netimi ewura oni paduam na ade susuaso boni ebro inti merely having akoniganika yes whatever vanadium or steel that is there it be ewura umole and I say and no ni susuaso no and tisa de awudro na wasase no mu sabi utu fango no wasase no mu a enye you get it all but all no metallic way no processing no convert the metal no from the metallic state no to the ionic state and no na the problem no eba no se ka metal no ko a say they go change the take kom en fa so bia emre nemom ionic gold no e ko mu a e de so bo na bebre
say nan ayon ne nan a
convert
nan na ne ma ewo mu no ba bonten a
sapepepe
ho ne asem no
yeah inji sabi with the silver chain ehye with the gold chain diamond asumade and brass and no so e bia allergies nkinkisi no bitimi edeba nemom say the same way no say o kan say nan na say wura woni padua no mu a wura fa no ionized form na and so bone bebre etimi edeba
yo
tisanete
yo bacha so obi wo so a maintain nka yo ofoforo wo so a maintain nka yo am say obi ni ho sisia doctor me je di say ene ma kire ni mam papa a kire na da bia no aya na ma asema meka ne say mehwe nkomo ayen adi a political science your wadi be a friend state capacity or say the ability of the state
secretary atwinsu
yo
na galanti ma sim na pesa meka you come atwinsu say galanti no yet man komo di
ba jo obi no hina no kasa o wa free no so no
pa jo mi din de patija fe me ka secretary atwinsu
yo ba jo kasa ni entie
ye no so da kan be se meka ni galanti ne de ye betimi etu ate abandi fe no tamo de na ahemfo ni command ni mo tamo de me di ni kuma patron obi mu ba so mba be se galanti yi e ma ye kan se ye nkin ye pamo mo eku wi eche no ani no se so no ke o mo ma ba no mu ko mu ka ta enti o ntimi nya ho hwe yitimi e so ri gina ya se no e wo port ma di jigwa kan oboyo ku me di e ma wo hin je se o pe so mo ye ba ko ma no youth ka kan o mo ye din o na ene the talk no ne se ye nkin a se no e wo court about 3 years now court for us be so mo kan no ni kan nti je nyina no ye tie ho ati hunsu so bond na e wo so na e be boa ye ma himfo no hu omo atade no kroma no hu ya atade hu zo bond no anyi bi kwa no se ye kuaku asasi a wo no udi di so an kan galanti na ba wo fufu wo banki fu eno so e bo e na wo je o ma na se me galanti fo itana ko ba no be 10% kwa o tana ya ye ibenya ye me boni e be ba ta krono no ya bebi e be ba ti se abanfa men people na ahim podun so na mo say gofonu ko mo ka te ko ban no mo de o mo no ri kan o mo je no mo nyai ni na ye mfe ye da chinko tie na o mo ye kan kan ye nya anafe ametue a ye nti ye bi so mfa so ntie sere abani no tom de ahim podun so mo kom de na ye maburu no so no e men ka te azin bo u ye ko dima ni na ye kan ma no no da wase
yo atiefo ni ahwefo se aha na bereba ma yankwan so bi foforo wa afiri no so ya betie na kasa anya sa de a ne na megye di sɛ braso sɛ medamase wo dwumadi a mobɛboa yɛn na yɛ fɛfɛɛfɛ monkɔ so nkurankura yɛn daa me dase enso megina station ada mpanimfu a na wobɛboa yɛn ma dwumadi yɛdi ne fɛfɛɛfɛ munyina mugye tum sɛ ene yɛn a yɛnim ne yɛn asuade na yɛn so ya yɛnim biribi no yɛn biribi aka ne yɛnim ho mpanimfu a bɛboa yɛn ɛyɛ Professor George Ajay Prof yɛda wase sɛ ne oba na obɛhyɛ yɛn ma ɛyɛ Dr. Ken Ashigbe doc ene yɛni gye wudwumadi ho wabɛboa yɛn ɛyɛ Madam Elizabeth Va wo Canada na wo ne yɛn kasa yɛda wase ɛyɛ Dr. Albert Kobina Mensa doc ene obɛpro wontaban yɛn asuane ma bebree na studio ha ɛyɛ Dr. Jerry Joe Harrison doc aseda yɛ wode yo megye di sɛ onyame man ho kwan a biribia yehia mo no yeto nsa yɛfrɛ ma na kwan wɔ mo ho a mba baboa yɛn afei mu a mutie yɛn mu a mo frɛ mu a mo sɛ mo biri nyina no twɛn yɛn mankɔmɔ yi edi no fɛfɛɛfɛ aseda yɛ mo de ɛyɛ mpanimfo a wɔkyinkyim mfiri wa ha ma ene dwumadi no kɔ so sɛnea ɛkɔ so da no aseda yɛ mo de YemanGhana nso ne yɛde aseda ma ho sɛ biribia no yɛte ɔman ha asomdwe mu momyɛ nkɔ so ntena ha asomdwe mu ansɛm bi na yɛnte ase a aya momyɛ misa yɛbisa nyotuo anya ba ɛyɛ bɔkɔ na wo nso wakyerɛ wadwene megye di sɛ onyame ma yɛn kwa dasɛnɛ yɛbɛsan ahyia yɛdamas
Middle. Nanda na wote ho a stiff sano. Ono kwano no. Jama wa bre.
Akos, send mensa ne menam twetwe me no. Emo ye titiriti. Mentumi pon sorry.
Ho ne nwanwa. Enwa me freedom buy na me ka kire wo se. Mato 3p garlic mixture ba.